the band come on stage, and I sort of like stood here with my kid sister, Susan, and I was pretty drunk. I'd had, by this point, about 4 or 5 double Jack Daniels and Coke, so I was like a bit wavery, you know. They came on stage and they played one song, and it was like, it was great, but I was drunk and I was drugged, and I thought, oh, it's probably because I'm drinking and taking drugs. And then they played 2, and I thought, God, this is really good. And then the third one, it was like, I'm going to do it. They were all hanging about in that back wall up there. And I sort of like, just basically went up to Noel here. I think it was round here actually. And I said, I'm Alan McGee, do you want a record deal? And he gave me a demo tape, and I went, you're all right, you don't need to give me a tape. And he went, I'll take a tape, and that was it.
I think the first thing I heard about them was a crazed phone call in the middle of the night, or some late at night saying, I found them, this is the one. But I'd heard it before. So it's like, right, okay, we'll believe you, we're on, we'll go for it again. But I think the convincing moment was we did get the tape, and I think for me the convincing moment was hearing Live Forever on the demo. I mean, we knew we had something pretty special then.
I was sitting at this desk about 4 years ago, and Alan rang up and he said, do you remember when I came in the office and told you that Jesus and Mary Chain were the greatest rock and roll band in the world? Well, I found the greatest rock and roll band in the world again. And he said they're called Oasis. And because basically I had spoken to Alan over the years, but he'd never said that to me since that time, so you have to take it seriously.
In 1994, on the verge of the greatest success of his professional life, McGee went to Los Angeles on business. It was a trip he almost didn't come back from.
I mean, I was just 7 years of partying. There was lots of warning shots across my bows.
I was in Los Angeles to do a piece for the NME on creation, really.
We were making a video in LA, and yeah, Alan was he was holed up in his hotel room, not really wanting to come out and stuff like that.
All he would do was like pick up a phone, make a phone call, and then like about an hour later somebody would arrive at the door with the goods, as it were.
I didn't really know what it was all about. I knew he was in a bad way.
It was all Jack Daniels and Coke. I mean, that was like we were drinking toasts, you know, at every given opportunity. Every now and again, Alan would just suddenly stand up, raise his glass and say, I'd like to drink a toast to The Clash.
I thought he wasn't going out of the hotel, and then we were doing the video, and I turned around and Alan was sort of standing there, and I thought, fuck, he is, he's dead, he's a ghost. And hello!
Was going on down to meet the head of Warner Brothers about some soundtrack. Was walking through the building, and Venetian blinds started to move towards me. You know, it felt really, really, really weird. Got back, was freaking out, you know, and was having a shower and still couldn't calm down. So then phoned up the paramedics who came out and took my blood pressure, and it was, I think, 172, which is excessively high. It should be 109 or 110 or something. And it immediately said, you're going into hospital, put an oxygen mask on me. They were frightened that I was going to blood clot. And then I would get taken in this ambulance with about 17 paramedics, putting me down, all with walkie-talkies with oxygen. And at that point I just thought, this is a bad movie, except, you know, I'm on the screen and I can't get out. Then got to hospital and they were like banging Valium up my bum. If I'd carried on the way that I was going, you know, I was going to die. And, do you know what I mean, you know, I decided that, you know, I wanted to live, you know, and it was pretty basic. My father was brilliant. My dad was there, you know, like by my side after about 2 weeks when he realised it was on top. You know, my dad was like, you know, staunch really.
When he did realise that he'd come to the end of the line, that if he'd done it anymore, he was going into a box, and he says, I better smarten my act up. Then he wanted my help, and I was there.
I mean, it got to a point that I think I remember about 4 or 5 months into it, and, you know, I was too scared to go and get on a bus, feel like Renfrew to Paisley or something like that.
It was such a kind of antisocial illness. It was only like his close family he could speak to. I mean, it was really, really, it was such a nervous thing. I mean, he would be walking down the street and he'd be nervous if a dog walked past him and things like that, you know what I mean? It's like, he's now had hypnosis to not be scared of dogs.
When I came out of the rehab thing, and I sort of would retrace, I suppose I retraced my childhood kind of like path back to what used to make me happy when I was a kid. And what made me happy when I was a kid was football and Rangers and going to Ibrox. And it was kind of like, you know, like, if it made me feel good when I was 14, why can't it make me feel good when I'm 34?
The reason that he was back into it being Rangers is because it was pretty well the nearest First Division team. Okay, and coming from Glasgow, it was the obvious team for him to look to. So it was a case of getting him back, more a case of therapy, getting him back into the crowd scene, being able to go in amongst people, people of large numbers, you know. And at the same time he was getting the enjoyment of the game.
It moved on from drugs to football. I mean, the addictions just move around, really. To be honest, I get more excited about going to a football match than I do to going to a gig. I mean, music's my job, whereas football's my passion. Ultimately, you know, the dream is to buy a football club, to be honest, you know. But I mean, you know, the right opportunity has not arisen yet.
The person that has emerged, you know, that Alan has emerged into after going through that is just, you know, it's just a truer version of what he really is. And, you know, a lot of people now can't believe he ever used to raise his voice, which is hysterical because I'll never forget the way he used to be able to raise his voice.
The only thing that can buy you happiness is your health. That's the only thing that's, I mean, if I lost it all tomorrow, as long as I was well, then I could accept it. From looking so unhealthy and having such an unhealthy life, I'm pretty obsessed. I mean, I run every single day. You know, I watch my diet. I'm a compulsive person, and it's like, you know, health is like #1 in my world. You know.
I went to his offices in Primrose Hill about a year ago, and found him rather extraordinary. Only in the sense that he sort of belonged to a new world of pop entrepreneurs because he only drank chamomile tea and he didn't smoke and he was very concerned about the preservation of his health. I always thought that was quite of an anathema to the whole rock and roll ethic.
You know, I think that Alan's laughing at us all now, you know. I think that he's watching us like sort of that, you know, I mean, you've not been to bed for 3 days and you feel like you're a piece of fucking shit, you know, and I think he's thinking, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. Thank God I've been through that, you know.
He can't do those things anymore. Otherwise he will, because he's such a hedonist, he is such, and egomaniac. He will just, like, if he gets on that bandwagon and goes, you know, down that path again, there is the potential that he could probably lose everything that he's built up and everything that he's got.